So welcome back, everyone. So this afternoon, we will focus a little more on scientific mechanism of the convention, and particularly on the subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice role on organization. I will begin with a general presentation of the substar processes. And after that, after me, Robin Goffo, co-friend Substar National Focal Point and member of COP for CBD, will follow with the presentation of the agenda and main issues for the two next Substar meetings. And after that, we will have the pleasure to hear about the testimonies of two experts who have participated in previous meetings. And we will close the afternoon with Mr. Eri Tamale, Head of Capacity Building Unit and Knowledge Management from the CBD Secretariat. So first of all, I will present you the Substar role on organization. I hope it will better work now with the diaporama. Is it working well?
I think so.
Okay, perfect. So just a quick reminder of what we just discussed earlier. So you know very well this diagram. States take part in the COP and give mandates to the CBD bodies. And now we will focus on one of the subsidiary bodies, which is the subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice. So this subsidiary body is defined directly inside the convention text. So subsidiary body for the provision of scientific, technical, and technological advice is hereby established to provide the conference of party and, as appropriate, its other subsidiary bodies with timely advice relating to the implementation of this convention. This body shall be open to everyone, to participation by all parties, and shall be multidisciplinary. So that's very interesting. So the diversity of scientific fields is really relevant for Substar. It shall comprise government representative competent in the relevant field of expertise. And it shall report regularly to the conference of party. Report, of course, because the role of a subsidiary body is to be an advisory body to the parties and to the conference of parties. So that's the specific mandate that is given to the Substar. So first of all, provide scientific and technical assessment. So role in assessing basic knowledge on biodiversity. Prepare scientific and technical assessments, so role in assessing the policies implemented. Identify innovative, efficient, and state-of-art technologies and know-how. The same role in assessing what are implemented. It's the first mention of the technology. We will see after that why technology is related also to the mandate of Substar. Provide also advice on scientific programs and international cooperation in research and development. Respond to scientific, technical, technological, and methodological questions. I think it's something very common now for subsidiary body on scientific aspect. The Substar, as a reminder, is working between knowledge and analysis and advice. It's a body working between knowledge holders and conveyors on analyst advisor. Of course, the final decision rests with the parties. So Substa is a science policy interface. Knowledge are conveyed on position. After that are negotiated. Substa has really similar conduct of business as the one we saw earlier. So it's quite classic, same procedure with the plenary, the contact group, the friends of the share. It's quite the same also for the vote procedure. Exception for the European Union because, as I explained earlier, European Union can vote for all the parties of European Union during the COP, but in Substa, the principle is to have one vote per one country of the European Union. But it doesn't mean that European coordination doesn't exist, of course. There is also European coordination for this kind of bodies and meetings. But there are some specific conduct of business for Substa because the central idea is to negotiate on the basis of the very best available knowledge. It's why some specific institutional processes are organized, such as this one, which is from decision 8/10, which is the Substa modus operandi. So you can see here a very classic process for science policy interface. So first of all, COP mandate, recognition of assessment need, mandate given by the conference of party. Needs are identified. We need some knowledge, we need some expertise on this kind of subject. After that, the Secretariat is elaborating a document about the topic, about the subject, contextualization of this subject, contextualization of the mandate. Next step, we can imagine to give the mandate to an ad hoc technical expert group. So an ad hoc technical expert group may be set up. For example, we know for this Substa that an ATEG was working on the indicators for the Kunming Memorial GBF. So the ATEG are one type of working group that can be implemented inside of the CBD process. ATEG are really linked with the expertise. It's why the name mentioned technical expert group on not just a working group. So this is a possibility to set up an ATEG, and then after the meetings of this ATEG, report may be published, and this report may be discussed between a peer review process and be presented to the Substa. And then the work of the Substar parties is to consider this work and to advise the COP about this work. If it's enough information, Substar parties can advise the COP to follow this report. If not, Substack can also ask for another consideration by the same ATEC, but also other type of working groups or other group of experts. And then after that, we can imagine that the COP make a decision about this subject. That's one of the specific conduct of business inside the Substar. Another one is concerning the possibility to invite some keynote speakers. So that's not really something common during COP meetings, but during Substar meetings, you can have some keynote speaker presenting something during the plenary session. And that's something organized because of the need to deliver the best available knowledge, of course, to inform the parties. So that's an option that the presidency of the Substar, the chair of the Substar, can action if they need to invite some keynote speaker to hear about presentation, or it's also possible to organize some informal workshops about some topics that are in the agenda of the Substar meeting. So finally, Substar. What do science, technical, and technology means? That's a very good question. Actually, the treaty gives some part of definition. We need to dig a bit into the convention text. So in the preamble of the text, we can read that the parties are aware of the general lack of information and knowledge regarding biological diversity and the urgent need to develop scientific, technical, and institutional capacities to provide the basic understanding upon which to plan and implement appropriate measures. They are also noting that there is a lack of full scientific certainty. So on this basis, we can imagine that science is related to knowledge, knowledge to be able to tackle the biodiversity crisis. Next paragraph, recognizing the close and traditional dependence of many indigenous and local communities. It's about the traditional knowledge, innovation, and practice. That is very interesting to read and to compare with the two previous paragraphs, because there is a question between that from an epistemological perspective. Is the traditional knowledge also science? That's a really interesting question when we study CBD process, because we can see that there is a parallel body for traditional knowledge, innovation, and practice of indigenous people. The ad hoc working group related to Article 8G. And so maybe that seems that traditional knowledge is not references as science, because otherwise we can imagine that Substar will have to work also on traditional knowledge. But I think IPBS partly responded to this question with the integration of traditional knowledge in its epistemological framework. So maybe it will evolve in the future. We can also see that a specific article, Article 12, is about research and training. So that's also related to science, the research and promoting research and promoting education and training, and promoting and cooperating in the use of scientific advances in biological diversity research. What does technology mean? Technology is directly defined into the Article 2 of the Convention. Technology includes biotechnology, and biotechnology means any technological application that uses biological systems, living organisms, or derivative thereof to make or modify. Technologies are also mentioned into the preamble. So access to and sharing of both genetic resources and technologies. We can see that something already mentioned by Professor Rosendahl this morning. That's one of the elements of North-South dialogue inside of the negotiation of the CBD. So the will from the southern country to have a better access to knowledge in general, but also technologies in particular. And we can find a specific article on about that, about the access to and transfer of technology. Access to and transfer of technology among contracting parties are essential elements for the attainment of the objective of the Convention. And it says also that technology that are really part of the process is technology that are relevant to the conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity, of course, or make use of genetic resources. And that's really interesting, do not cause significant damage to the environment. So that limit a bit the definition of the technology. It's something really related to the objective of the Convention. What is technical? We can find something about that also in the preamble. So that's the same article I mentioned earlier, aware of general lack of information and knowledge regarding biological diversity and of the urgent need to develop scientific, technical, and institutional capacities. So that's really interesting. It's about capacities, and what's the definition of capacity? The Convention on Biological Diversity also define it, not directly on the text, but during its work. So capacity from the point of view of CBD parties is the ability of people, organizations, and societies as a whole to achieve the set biodiversity-related goals and action, also targets. So that the idea of dissemination and knowledge sharing, but we are also more related to the implementation phase in some way, because capacity is not only linked with knowledge, it's also linked with the way to do things, the way to implement things, to tackle really the biodiversity crisis. And there is also a specific article on that, technical and scientific cooperation. So this article is really interesting also because he is mentioning a specific mechanism, the clearinghouse mechanism, that is which is the mechanism, the central mechanism to promote and facilitate technical and scientific cooperation inside of the convention. Clearinghouse mechanism is divided into one central clearinghouse mechanism, which is the CBD website, central website, where you can find a lot of elements, a lot of training materials to help you to implement CBD policies, but also 102 regional clearinghouse mechanisms. So it is basically a website that are managed by the parties directly. And it's a way to share knowledge, technical capacities, technologies, inside a country, of course, but also through an international network. So here we can see how it is related to the implementation of the convention. So now the question you will be asking later on is what's the difference between SBSTA and IPBS? So I just want to go back a bit on the SBSTA mandate. So the function of the IPBS, I will read it and you can compare directly. Function of IPBS is to identify and prioritize key scientific information, assessment of knowledge. So I think it's something very similar to the first mission of the SBSTA. Also to support policy formulation and implement by identifying policy relevant tools and methodology. That's something related to the last part of the mandate of the SBSTA. And also prioritize key capacity building needs to improve science policy interface. So that's clear that there is a link between SBSTA mandate and IPBS mandate. And it is something identified by the CBD parties. During COP 10, parties request the executive secretary to think about the possibility of cooperation with the IPBS, which was at this moment not implemented, but was a project. So the question is, how the convention could make full and effective use of the platform, thinking complementarity and avoiding duplication. And we can understand why. And next COP, the COP 11, welcomes the establishment of the platform and welcomes also something very concrete about the collaboration between Substar and IPBS, the provision for the chair of subsidiary body to participate as an observer in the multidisciplinary expert panel. The multidisciplinary expert panel is one of the body of the IPBS, which is central to provide advice to the IPBS plenary on technical and scientific matters. So that's one way to work between Substar and IPBS. And in the same decision, the COP requests the Internet IPBS platform to work on some activities CBD related. So that's a form of proposition to work to have some common work on the CBD subjects. And as a matter of fact, we can see that a lot of subjects are really close or are answering some needs that have been formulated inside of the CBD. So, for example, this year we have a subject about sustainable wildlife management in the Substar, and IPBS just published sustainable wildlife management assessment, thematic assessments. So we can see there is a dialogue, and if you are going on IPBS meetings, you can also hear about this kind of discussion, how to maximize, how to cooperate really closely with the CBD parties. So that's maybe something that could summarize the dialogue between the two institutions. So yes, IPBS and Substar are working on the interface between knowledge and analysis and advice. Both are not decision-making bodies, but Substar, for example, has a mandate on technical and scientific cooperation. Also, IPBS needs to work also on an assessment of implementation of the CBD policies. So yeah, we can see some difference, but I think it's very something very complementary. We can imagine that the Substar is the entry point for IPBS into the CBD process. I think the collaboration is really key between the two institutions. If we want to be able to discuss about the IPBS work, it's sure that Substar needs to play a very important role in that matter. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope you are understanding a bit more what Substar is doing, and I'm open to question before letting the floor to Robin. Yes, please.
Can you hear me? If you mean yes by me?
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah. I can hear you well.
I actually had a question to when you showed the slide on Substa, this distinction between recommendation and assessment. I mean, I guess it has to be specified in the mandate for Substa which of those two things they are performing, or does Substa have some, how should I say, room of its own decision to decide whether they want to recommend or they want to, I don't remember if the term was assessment because it's a slide quite a while ago.
Okay. Yeah.
You understand my question?
I understand perfectly well. Yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's the specificity of a body like the Substa, which Substa is a science policy interface. So at the end, it's a recommendation because the assessment on knowledge are negotiated between parties. So it's not really something totally scientific assessed, but it's something an agreement between parties about a specific subject that is informed by the best knowledge available. So I think it's maybe the main difference between an assessment and a recommendation, but I may be wrong.
But sorry, but my question was more related to can Substa sort of, I mean, decide we want to give a recommendation, or is Substa always asked to do recommendations, or can they only be asked to do assessment? I mean, because there is a difference between the two.
Yes, for my understanding, Substa is asked to make a recommendation, but I may be wrong because for me it's really a political dialogue during the Substa with the assessment from the expert, with the assessment from IPBS. So basically, the parties would like to recommend the IPBS assessment, are agreeing with the IPBS assessment, but yeah, at the end it's political recommendation. We cannot say that's something really scientific in the scientific definition, primary definition. But maybe Robin will answer also this question, and I let him continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pierre. So as far as I know, the COP is here to decide, because this is the party who have to agree on some decision. And to my opinion, the Substa is the consultative organ for the COP. So they make recommendation to the COP, and the COP decides. I don't know if it's answer the question, but I will share my screen. Maybe show you. Do you see my screen?
I think that link was clear to me. It was more the link as to whether Substa itself can decide, do we want to do, so to say, only an assessment and not a recommendation, or will that always be clear from the mandate on which basis they will be working in a COP decision, tasking them to do this and that? Or do they have can they sort of decide, no, we will not make a recommendation, we will only assess? or can they choose? That's what I meant. I know that what SABSTA does goes to the COP for final decision, but it was more internally in SABSTA.
Okay, so in that case, I'm not sure what you encompass under assessment, because the subtypes itself doesn't lead any work. It received the work from advisory group, from ATEX, and this kind of thing, and discuss on this, and at the end make recommendation to other bodies or to the COP to decide on something. So, but sorry, maybe I don't answer.
So there's always a recommendation. That's what you're saying from SABSTA.
Yeah. If you see here is the site, is the website for SABSTA 24. So in 20. So we see this is the outcomes of the meeting, and we have this recommendation. So we only have recommendation, and if you look at the page for COP15, we have here the outcomes of the COP15, which are decisions. So I'm sure if he answer correctly the question, but that's the element I have.
Okay, thanks.